Agenda, the formal agenda. So first of all, Catherine, is there any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Steve Milford and Councillor Sam Smith.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any declarations of interest? No? Okay. Item number 3 then, the minutes of the previous meeting, which you have a copy of. First, for accuracy. So if there's no concerns there, can I have a proposer and a seconder for that? So Mark Jeffries and seconded by Councillor Scott Toogood. And can I have a show of hands, please? It's unanimous. Okay. So you have a series of reports from various committees: the Environment and Transport, the Planning Committee, Buildings Maintenance, Business and Community, Environment and Transport, Policy Resources. That's all for information. So unless there's anything that you immediately want to bring up with our town clerk.
Well, Chair, I don't think it's for discussion now, but I just, in relation to the Policy and Resources Committee, which contained a minute about a discussion we had about the decision-making structure of the council, and then a very sensitive matter on the confidential agenda, which I won't refer to. Both of those, I think, need minuting more appropriately. And we'll discuss that when we get to committee. I'm just flagging that they're draft at this stage.
They're draft at this stage, so
Yeah.
that would be something to flag at the committee, as you rightly say, Councillor Bond, that we would address at that committee.
John?
I haven't signed off the
No,
minutes.
we've got that for you to sign up for the last one. Yeah.
Okay. It's noted in.
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 4 is the town clerk's report. Catherine.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there's only a few things to note for the report. Obviously, the first thing is the opening hours for visitors and inquiries at Salisbury Gardens. So this matter was discussed at the Policy and Resources Committee, and it was agreed that at the moment we don't advertise any opening hours for the offices at Salisbury Gardens. So obviously the public don't know when they can come and see us or telephone us for inquiries. So we had, the committee have agreed to the new opening hours, which would be Monday to Thursday between 10 and 3 for visitors to come physically to the office, and telephone inquiries Monday to Friday between 9 and 4. Additionally, we asked the committee to consider opening hours between Christmas and New Year. So the office will be closed for visitors between Monday the 23rd of December and Friday the 3rd of January. That's not to say the staff won't be there. It will just give the staff an opportunity to catch up with other things, and obviously there will be leave taken over that period, so it will allow us to provide cover at that time. So those will be advertised on the website and on the front door of Salisbury Gardens, and we will update if any circumstances change. Remembrance Sunday, we had the service at St Catherine's, which is arranged by the Town Council in association with the Royal British Legion Ventnor and St Catherine's Church, and that was a good attendance this year, followed by the wreath laying at the memorial at Ventnor Park. Leeson Road reopened on the 30th of November, and at the Town Council meeting in August it was agreed that the charging would resume on Saturdays. Obviously, last Saturday there was an exception made, being a small business Saturday, which the council's agreed, and the charging will now resume from this coming Saturday.
Okay. Any questions for Catherine at all?
A quick one on the roads, Leeson Road. Now, as I understood it, once Leeson Road was opened, that the grabbing would shut. Is there any news on that?
We haven't heard anything, but I'm keeping an eye on it, and I will contact. Councillor Downer, sounds like.
Thank you. Just to say that I have made inquiries about various matters, and there is plans for various parts of Ventnor to be looked at, and that includes the grabbing. But you're not just going to shut it and call that it. And I was understood that when the works take place, it will be night works. and I will push for that as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions at all? Just as a point of clarity, on the opening times, that's following suit of best practice of other councils up and down the country, including on the island as well. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, can I just say one thing? The Lisa Road was open on the 1st of December, not the 30th of November. So they were a day late.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next item is the finance report. So it's self-explanatory. Are there any questions?
Just a quick one, the reimbursement of the Wallgate contract. I know it's got a reference against it, and that's number
So
19.
the Wallgate contract is something that we administer for other town councils. So effectively, it's to do with toilets,
Is it?
and effectively the
Ah,
town
that
councils
one.
then reimburse us the money.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's that one. I know it's a bit confusing, that one. So you'll see payments coming in and out on that
Yes.
as and when Rachel does an invoicing system, and then the money comes back.
Yeah, it just,
Yeah.
you just get a statement that doesn't seem to relate too much. That's
No.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay, if there's no further questions on the finance report, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? So that's Linda Jeffries and the seconder, Dave Logan. And a show of hands, please. Thank you, that's unanimous. Okay, the next item is the internal audit report. Did you want to say anything about this at all, Catherine?
So just to mention briefly, to just remind councillors, it was agreed earlier in the year that we would have an interim audit report due to the internal auditor not being able to do a full report. So the financial aspects were done earlier in the year. This is looking at more of the governance and operational aspects. And as you'll see from the report, there's some recommendations on the back which we will follow up, but otherwise overall it was a good report.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, that's great. That's just for information. So the next item is the NELC Members Officer Protocol. So I'm very familiar with this, but did you want to say anything at all on this at all, Catherine?
I'd just say again, this was brought earlier in the year. It was taken to the HR committee. It was represented to the Policy and Resources Committee on the 11th of November for recommendation, which was unanimous in referring it. So this is to adopt that protocol.
Okay, so just to dovetail on that, this council, all councillors, actually except for one or two councillors that I haven't caught up with yet and one member of staff, we've all signed the NELC Civility and Respect Pledge, which is about professional conduct and professional behaviour within the chamber and outside the chamber. It's quite revolutionary. I'm actually on the National Task Force for NELC on this particular pledge and this initiative. I think it's the right and proper thing to do. Because there's too much misbehaving and too much poor behaviour by councillors up and down the country. So this is an attempt to curb poor behaviour, and which is exactly why it's called the Respect and Civility Pledge. So this is, an add-on to that sort of pledge, and this is, plainly telling you what the expectations is. Councillor Bond, did you want to expand anything on that? Because I know we've worked and talked about this a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important document, and I'd certainly encourage all members to devote some time to working through it. Because as well as behaviours, it deals with roles. And the key point about running a council, whether it's a small council like ours or one of the large councils in the country, is that members and officers have different but complementary roles. And to be effective as a council, members need to respect the roles of officers, and officers need to respect the role of members. And when you have a council where people are working like that, it's an effective council. And I mean, if you look back at our history in Ventnor, I think this has been a particular weak spot. Certainly until the HR committee and now the policy committee started dealing with many of the weaknesses in our governance, which I think I've touched on in the audit report we've just agreed. If you have a situation where members and officers' roles are not clear and where the dividing lines are blurred, you can get into all sorts of difficulties. And it is quite important as members, and I think at this meeting we need to talk about members respecting officers rather than the other way around, to recognise that we come here as volunteers. We're not paid, it's not a job. Whether it's a hobby or community work or voluntary activity, you can choose what title you like, but for us it's like a sideline to the rest of our lives. For our staff, it is their job. It's their livelihood, it's their career, and we are responsible for being a decent employer as members. And that means that our staff are entitled to have proper contracts, proper job descriptions, proper HR processes that we manage for them. Our staff are entitled to be managed in a professional manner by the clerk in the case of the staff, and by members collectively in the case of the town clerk. It's a key point that as members we can only act as the employer when we are meeting together in a committee or council. None of us have any authority to manage staff individually. And we also need to respect that our staff are entitled to have meaningful jobs. We give them a job description, we set their objectives, we agree the budget. As with anyone working for a company, whether it's a large company or a small company, people must have some freedom to act. It's not our role as councillors to try and micromanage the daily work of our staff. It's not our role as councillors to supervise them in any way. And it's not our role as councillors to try and step in and do the councillors' work for them. And if you read the protocol, particularly if you've got page 4, it's very clearly stated that the councillors should not involve themselves in the day-to-day running of the council. And that's a quote from the top of that page. It makes it clear that it's not, councillors must not authorise, initiate or certify any financial transactions or enter into any contract agreement or undertaking on behalf of the council. And we need to recognise that the officers have a body of work to do, and our responsibility is to manage them professionally, but otherwise leave them to get on with it. And I do think in the past, you're thinking back to when I joined this council, I don't think this council run like that. I think, and that's one of the reasons why we've had so many issues to deal with over the last few years. So I would commend this protocol, and I would encourage all members to study it carefully. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bond. I'm just going to add to that I think certainly in the last 2 or 3 years, I don't think that any of these councillors sat around this table have attempted to line manage day to day any members of staff. I think we've been clear in giving directions and steers, but we are the strategic leaders, and Catherine and her team are the operational leaders. And I think that's very much how we run this council. But I think it's quite important what you've actually said. And I endorse and echo, the comments that you've actually made, Councillor Bond. And I agree, this is an important document, and it leads very nicely into the work that I'm doing with NELC, with the respect and dignity pledge. Okay. Any comments about that at all? Further to Ian's? Okay, can I have a proposer? Julie? Seconded by Ian. And a show of hands, please. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 8 about Ventnor Town Council account signatories. Did you want to just give a quick update on this, Catherine?
Oh, thank you, Chair. Yes, so the current situation we have is it was agreed that Gareth obviously is the responsible finance officer at the time, and Allerton as the acting town clerk were added as the officer signatories for the Ventnor Town Council account. Now Gareth has left, I'm proposing that Gareth is now removed and I'm added. However, as I am the clerk and the responsible finance officer, it's not a role that's been split. it would be prudent to have another officer on there. And at the moment, I'm suggesting that is the Policy Projects and Premises Officer, Morgan Williams. And my suggestion is that we are both added, and for the time being, the acting town clerk is removed.
Okay. Any questions?
Very sensible.
Okay. Can I have a proposer then, please? Mark and Ian. And show of hands, please. Thank you. Okay. The last item before noting the next meeting is the town council's and committee dates. So, before I open it up to the floor, what I just want to flag up is that we took the decision 12 months ago, plus 12 months ago, that this council would not have monthly town council meetings, and that our energies would be used in committee work, etc. And that the council meetings would be a bi-monthly arrangement. I have flagged this up with Catherine. Catherine's come back with some rationale. But again, you may want to say a few words on this, Catherine, because obviously I can see that there are some meetings that are bi-monthly, and then there are others that seem to go concurrently, such as September, October, November. So I just wondered if you wanted to give a rationale for that.
So, yes, I can run from the top of the rationale. So the April meeting would be bi-monthly, so our first one is in February 2025, so that bring it bi-monthly. May, we are statutorily obliged to have a meeting, which will be both the annual meeting for us and the town meeting, so we have two separate ones in May on the same day. June, we would need to bring the AGAR, so the Accounts and Governance Return. The papers need to come to you for approval in order for us to submit that in good time. Now, July, my suggestion is July and September we could skip and have a meeting in August to make that bi-monthly. At the moment, there's nothing I could foresee we would need to bring to those meetings for decision. External audit tends to come back fairly late these days. It's a big sort of bugbear for parish and town councils across the country in that they don't come back in a timely manner. It would need to be noted, but we could do that in October. So equally, we could then move to a December meeting rather than November meeting, and I would suggest that the budget process is discussed at the October meeting. If that sounds
a more sensible approach.
If that sounds sensible, which would follow the same pattern as this year.
That sounds more sensible.
Yeah, yeah, because we're here in December now, so it works for next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are, is it this May that we re-elect?
Yes,
it is. So I would be in favour of keeping the June and July one there, just because I'm working the basis you will probably have several, you don't know how many, but new councillors. And those two reasonably consecutive meetings would give them a chance to get their feet under the table a little bit.
I would respectfully disagree with you, Dave.
All right, fair enough. But that's my thinking on it.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I think if we're having a May meeting and that's going to be a double meeting, then that meeting will be discussing which councillors are going to serve on which appropriate committee meeting. So I don't think they'll be out of the loop. I think any new councillors elected will have an opportunity to see how a council works, appropriate training, inductions, etc. I'm just very keen not to drift back into monthly meetings. I don't think they're necessary, and I think that trying to keep broadly to a bi-monthly arrangement is the best way forward, because the nitty-gritty work that's done at the council is in the committees. This is almost a showpiece.
It is, but I also find it's fairly useful showpiece, and it's one time where we have everybody together.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I mean, that's a valid point. I just just have a different opinion. That's all right.
Well, that's my thinking on it. And we don't actually know come the end of middle of May what our council is actually going to look like at this point in time. That's so right. The people up there might have a completely different.
Yeah. Any other comments at all? Okay, so there's two options here. The one that's spelt out by Catherine, which is slightly different to what we actually see on the paper, or Dave's valid proposal to actually keep the the June and July meetings in. So first of all, who agrees with?
Can I just ask, what this governance return? What do we do about that this year? Because we didn't have this concurrent monthly meetings this year.
We did
we?
council bond, yes.
What,
We had exactly this pattern. So we had an April, a May, a June, then we had an August, October, and December.
Well, and certainly I'm very keen to move the November to December. I just think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But the June
we did have.
We did that this year.
So we went from June to July. We're not.
No, we went from June to August this year.
Oh right. So okay. So.
Yeah.
And then September.
And then no, we went June, August, and then October, December.
Could we not do that then?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting we do. Yeah.
Right, good.
Yeah, I was suggesting we do, and then Councillor Logan is suggesting
Yeah.
that we keep the July one.
I mean, the big change since we started discussing this is the committee structure and the whole. One of the advantages of a committee structure is we can deal with business in between council meetings, so we don't need to get everyone together to do. But under the acting clerk, we had a whole series of extraordinary meetings because we're forever needing to make decisions, and we don't have to do that if you've got a committee structure. So I do think the bi-monthly thing sits more happily with our committee structure than it did under the old arrangements.
I agree.
And if we can keep it bi-monthly rather eccentric pattern months, it'd be better.
Should we take a vote then? So Catherine's made a valid suggestion, which I tend to agree with myself. So who's in favour of Catherine's option? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, how to do that?
And Dave's suggestion.
Hey!
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Okay, so the last item on the agenda is just to note that the next council meeting will be on Monday the 10th of February 2025.
2025?
Next year. Thank you very much.